Calling all pilots, we need your help tomorrow on the 14th of August at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, at your normal stream time here on this channel. We're going to be doing a Starfighter showdown with the Rogue 181st Squadron. So we're going to do it a lot like we did the Civil War last Tuesday, where we join in into two groups and then we try to get matched up against each other in a game, since there's not private servers yet in Star Wars Battlefront 2. So what we need is to fill 12 slots. Right now I know we have 4 for sure. I'm sure that we have plenty more of you out there that are more than willing to come play Starfighter Assault with us versus the 181st. So if you are good at Starfighter Assault and you would like to watch me run into things, please come join us tomorrow, Tuesday the 14th at 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, so that way we can go ahead and get some Starfighter going on with the Rogue 181st. So I don't know if there's been other matches like this in the past, but I'm going to go ahead and chalk this up to a first for Star Wars Battlefront 2. I know the Rogue 181st is very good Starfighter pilots. They all play Starfighter almost exclusively from what I've seen, and I've been in a couple lobbies with them here as I've been practicing my starfighting abilities, and they've been carrying the team each time. So I'm a little concerned that we may get our asses kicked, but that's alright. It'll always be fun as usual. I thought maybe we would just talk a little bit about some Starfighter tips here then before this match begins tomorrow and hype it up a little bit. So if you are playing Starfighter Assault, first off, if you're not good, pick a bomber. I found the bomber survived the longest. They also seem to have turrets on the light side, and everybody loves a turret that does all their shooting for them. So pick a bomber. That way you can get some extra battle points, live a little bit longer, do some decent damage, and hopefully not crash into as many things since you're not flying as fast. And since, as you know, I am not the best pilot in the galaxy, I went ahead and reached out to one of the Rogue 181st, who was the one to contact us to set up this match, and that's Hank. Over there. So Hank, I greatly appreciate it, and he hooked us up with about 9 tips here. I believe it's 9, it might be 8, I don't know, counting's hard. And we're gonna go over those here as well, so those of you who, like me, aren't the best of pilots but really want to have some fun in this match tomorrow, or just when you play Starfighter in general, can do a little bit better. So the first one Hank has is to keep calm and prioritize your targets. So as you see in the gameplay, I'm sure a lot of times there's a large clump of enemy fighters ahead of us, and we just need to pick one as opposed to trying to take on as many as possible. So be sure just to pick that one target and try to take them out before you fly past them. The second tip that Hank gives us is to double tap your missile lock and it will dumbfire your missiles. He says this is great for killing objectives since you don't have to wait for that lock on. And also I've used this on turrets before quite a bit, and since turrets give you a ton of points, I tend to use them a lot on turrets. But dumbfiring your missiles is great for objectives since you don't need to worry about that lock on time. Third, he has you can change your target if you're trying to lock on by pressing the X button. So when you have that white circle, that's the active target that you're tracking, you can change it by hitting that X button, and if you're on PlayStation, and it'll switch over to the next available target. I did not know this, and it actually changes quite a bit when I'm playing, because I always just went for whatever target was highlighted regardless, and this allows us to change it on the fly. So I didn't know this, Hank. I greatly appreciate it. This actually helped me quite a bit Sunday night when I was giving it a shot. Fourth, he has, if you're having problems tracking someone, to adjust your sensitivity. So if you're leading all of the time, or if you're in front of your target, try bringing it down a little bit. That way it's a little bit easier for you to stay within that circle. And if you're constantly trailing, you're going to want to increase it. So mine was low when I first started, and we had to increase it. Now I increased it way too much and was leading, so now we're going back down. But yeah, so if you're having troubles staying on target, mess around with that sensitivity settings. You might be shocked at how much that improves your play. Fifth, he said to never play chicken with a bomber if you're an interceptor or a fighter, since if they don't kill you, they will leave you pretty much as a one-shot. So I found that this is very true. Since I was flying bombers quite a bit, people who'd play chicken with me, I was actually able, that's how I get my kills for the most part. So definitely don't play chicken with bombers, and you can tell which class you're flying into since you have the icons above them. So just be sure to pay a little bit of attention to that when you're flying. Sixth, Hank says to not spend too much time following just one player. So if you're trying to dogfight with someone, it's a lot of fun to dogfight, don't get me wrong. But if you're flying in circles or they're dodging you back and forth and left and right and you just can't get a beat on them, sometimes it's best to go ahead and let that one go, so that way you can look for someone flying either in a straight line, like myself, who's an easy target, or find somebody who's firing on a teammate because they're a little bit easier to predict. 7th, he says to use your laser barrage to keep firing when your primary weapon is overheated. Now, this is probably common sense. However, I never thought of that. I don't know why I didn't think of this, but yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. So maybe give that a shot as opposed to just firing it every time it's active or available, which is what I tend to do. I forgot what number we're on, but the next tip he has is to avoid as much as possible overheating your primary weapon. He says when it gets close to the overheating point, to burst fire it or to tap fire, as opposed to holding it down and just spraying and praying. So this is very similar to trooper mechanics. I never recommend holding down the trigger for long periods of time as a trooper unless you're like point blank, but for the most part you want to tap fire. So you just want to tap, release, tap, release, tap, release, and you want to do it relatively quickly, you know, so that way you can keep firing and it kind of feels like you're firing full on, but you're giving that little bit of break so you don't overheat. This will leave you more able to engage enemies or targets of opportunity. Makes a ton of sense. I always overheat my Starfighter though. So, and finally, he said if you're flying one of the larger hero ships and you have someone following you, head back towards your spawn point so that the people who spawn in will be able to take him out for you. This actually makes, again, a ton of sense. If you're flying like the Falcon, everyone tries to target you because you're just basically a floating wall and you're pretty easy to hit. So a lot of players will go ahead and target that Falcon, bringing the Falcon down pretty quick. So if you're playing the Falcon or you're playing a hero ship and you get a target, head back to your spawn point, let your teammates take out whoever's shooting at you, and then he said you can heal back when you head back into the fight, which lets you stay in that hero ship a little bit longer, which is fantastic and amazing, and definitely recommend following that one for sure. So I hope you guys are excited for tomorrow night's match. I know I am. Hopefully we can match pretty quickly and easily. Again, we are only going to need 12 players though, so if it goes over 12 in our group, I will have to back out and re-invite. I apologize to everyone who does not make it into the match. We'll try to rotate it out and rotate people around here and there where we can, but we can only have 12. So if this goes well, this will be a common thing. I'm sure Hank and his crew will be more than happy to do multiple games and playthroughs, so hopefully this goes well. I appreciate you guys for watching. I hope you have a wonderful and amazing day, and I'll see you in game.